In the heart of 16th century Europe, an inexplicable event unfolded that left the world baffled. In the vibrant city of Strasbourg, nestled within the Holy Roman Empire, the year was 1518. The streets, usually filled with the humdrum of everyday life, became the stage for an occurrence as mysterious as it was alarming. It all started with one woman, Mrs. Trophea, in a spectacle that would soon grip the city in a strange frenzy. She began to dance. Not the joyous twirling of a merry heart, but a relentless, uncontrollable jig that persisted for days on end. Bizarrely, her inexplicable dancing fever began to spread, ensnaring others in its bewildering grip. People danced without rest, without music. Some even danced to their own demise. The city was caught in the throes of what would be remembered as the Dancing Plague. This bizarre event, known as the Dancing Plague of 1518, remains one of history's most intriguing unsolved mysteries. The madness began with a single dancer. Picture the scene. It's the middle of July in the year 1518 in the city of Strasbourg, now part of modern-day France. The sun is high and the city is bustling when a woman named Mrs. Trophea begins to dance. It's not a usual dance, mind you. This isn't a joyful jig or a rhythmic waltz. No, Mrs. Trophea's dance is erratic, uncontrolled, and seemingly unending. She dances through the day and into the night, her body refusing to tire. As the sun rises on the second day, Mrs. Trophea continues her relentless dance. Her feet are bloody, her face is contorted with exhaustion, but she doesn't stop. She can't stop. The townsfolk watch in astonishment, some with fear, others with curiosity. But then, an unexpected thing happens. One by one, people start to join her. They too begin to dance uncontrollably, their bodies moving to a rhythm that only they can hear. The dancing plague, as it would later be known, starts spreading through the city like a wildfire. By the end of the week, there are 36 dancers. By the end of 2 weeks, there are around 100. The cobblestone streets echo with the sound of relentless footfalls, and the town's once bustling marketplace is now a dance floor for the unwilling participants of this bizarre spectacle. Scholars, physicians, and priests watch in helpless bewilderment as the plague continues to spread. The dancers, now in the hundreds, seem to be in a trance, their eyes vacant, their bodies moving with a life of their own. They dance through their exhaustion, their injuries, and their despair. As the days turn into weeks, the city of Strasbourg becomes a macabre stage for this inexplicable phenomenon. People, young and old, rich and poor, dance uncontrollably, day and night in the streets, in the squares, everywhere. The city, once full of life and laughter, now echoes with the eerie sound of ceaseless dancing. Within a month, the streets of Strasbourg became a stage for an involuntary dance marathon. As days turned into weeks, the dancing epidemic reached a fever pitch. The streets of Strasbourg appeared less as the bustling hub of the Holy Roman Empire and more like a frenzied dance floor. The city was gripped in a bizarre spectacle, a relentless dance marathon that showed no signs of slowing down. With each passing day, the number of dancers swelled, reaching into the hundreds. The city's cobblestone streets echoed with the rhythmic pounding of feet, a haunting melody that played out day and night. Imagine the sight: men, women, and children, their faces etched with exhaustion, yet their bodies moving in a rhythm that defied logic. The dancers seemed to be trapped in an inexorable tide, their bodies swaying, twirling, and jumping in a dance of despair. But this was no celebration. The dance was a grim reaper, claiming lives as it swept across the city. As the weeks wore on, the plague began to exact a deadly toll. Some dancers, driven to the brink of exhaustion, succumbed to heart attacks and strokes. Others, their bodies depleted of energy, collapsed in the streets, never to rise again. In the midst of this macabre spectacle, the city was gripped by a sense of dread and confusion. How could so many people be driven to dance uncontrollably, even to their deaths? The grim reality was that no one knew. Doctors and priests were at a loss to explain this inexplicable phenomenon, their usual remedies and prayers proving ineffective against the dancing plague. The city of Strasbourg was in the throes of a chilling spectacle, a dance of death that held its citizens in a relentless grip. The streets were filled with the sound of pounding feet and the sight of exhausted bodies, a haunting reminder of the power this inexplicable plague wielded. The city was in chaos, with its citizens dancing as if possessed, and some even meeting their untimely end. As the dance fever raged on, one question loomed large in everyone's mind. When would the music finally stop? In the face of such bewildering events, the authorities were at a loss. Strasbourg's city leaders found themselves confronted with an unprecedented crisis. The dancing plague was not just a curious spectacle, but a public health emergency that demanded immediate action. The city council, comprised of noblemen and townsmen, convened to discuss countermeasures. They grappled with the question of how to best approach this peculiar situation. In their minds, the dancers were not merely ill. They were possessed by some strange malady that compelled them to dance. It was a predicament that defied comprehension and yet called for an immediate solution. In a desperate attempt to address the situation, the authorities resorted to an unconventional strategy. They decided to encourage the dancing. Yes, you heard that right. They believed that the dancers would only recover if they danced continuously, that they had to dance the disease out of their system. As bizarre as it may sound, they thought the dancers were afflicted with a hot disease and that dancing was the only way to sweat it out. To facilitate this, city officials hired musicians, drummers, pipers, and a horde of others to provide a relentless rhythm. A stage was constructed in the heart of the city where the afflicted could dance without hindrance. It was a spectacle like no other, a city-sponsored dance marathon in the throes of a mysterious plague. However, this well-intended solution had unintended consequences. The constant beat of the drums, the hypnotic rhythm of the pipes, the public display, all these elements served to fuel the frenzy rather than quell it. More people joined the dance, drawn by the spectacle or perhaps infected by the same unknown force. The authorities watched as their plan backfired spectacularly. Instead of providing a cure, they had fanned the flames of a public health crisis. The city's streets filled with more dancers, their faces etched with exhaustion and despair, their bodies pushed beyond the limits of endurance. Ironically, their response only served to exacerbate the situation. The dancing plague of 1518, it seems, was a mystery that the authorities of the time were ill-equipped to solve. After months of relentless dancing, the plague finally began to subside. The once bustling streets of Strasbourg, filled with the eerie spectacle of non-stop dancers, began to regain a sense of normalcy. But the end wasn't as abrupt as its onset. The cessation was as mysterious as the initiation, with people gradually stopping their relentless movements as though waking from a trance. In the aftermath of this bizarre event, the city was left in a state of exhaustion and disbelief. The dancing plague had taken a significant toll, not just on the dancers, but on the entire community. The relentless dancing had left many weak and debilitated. Some were bedridden for weeks, their bodies ravaged by the relentless pace they'd kept up for months. The dancing plague had claimed lives too, with some succumbing to strokes, heart attacks, or sheer exhaustion. The city was also grappling with the psychological aftermath. Imagine the trauma of witnessing your neighbors, friends, or family members caught in this uncontrollable dance. The fear, the helplessness, the inability to understand what was happening. It left deep scars on the psyche of the people. The public authorities, who had initially responded with a mix of confusion and futile interventions, were now left with the task of rebuilding a community shaken to its core. The aftermath of the dancing plague was not just about physical recovery, but also about restoring faith and trust among the people. The end of the dance also spurred a wave of introspection among scholars and thinkers of the time. Questions began to surface. What was this dancing plague? Why did it start? Why did it end? These questions sparked a quest for answers that would span centuries, crossing the boundaries of medicine, psychology, and history. As Strasbourg began to pick up the pieces, the city, the dancers, and the onlookers were forever changed. A dance that had started as a bewildering spectacle had morphed into a deadly plague, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The dance was over, but the mystery was far from solved. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most enigmatic events, a testament to the complex and sometimes terrifying mysteries of the human mind and body. For centuries, the dancing plague of 1518 has perplexed historians and scientists alike. This bizarre event, where people danced uncontrollably, some to their deaths, has been the subject of numerous theories and explanations. Yet, none have been able to fully unravel this enigma. One of the most prevalent theories suggests mass hysteria as the driving force behind this phenomenon. Also known as collective obsessional behavior, it's a social, psychological phenomenon where people in a group start behaving in a particular way due to stress, fear, or uncertainty. For the inhabitants of Strasbourg in the 16th century, the harsh realities of famine, disease, and poverty could have sparked such a reaction. The dancing could have been an extreme form of stress relief, a psychological escape valve, if you will. Yet, why it took the form of relentless, deadly dancing remains a conundrum. Another theory points towards ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that infects rye and other cereals, and when ingested, it can cause hallucinations, spasms, and a host of other symptoms. It's the same fungus from which LSD is derived. Some researchers believe that the citizens of Strasbourg may have consumed bread made from ergot-infected grain, leading to a citywide bout of hallucinations and uncontrollable dancing. However, this theory has its critics. They argue that ergotism, the condition resulting from ergot poisoning, tends to restrict movement rather than promote it. Furthermore, the dancing plague lasted for months, much longer than the effects of ergotism typically endure. Yet another theory delves into the realm of the supernatural, suggesting spiritual or demonic possession. The 16th century was a time of deep religious belief and superstition, and it's possible that the townsfolk interpreted the dancing as a sign of divine punishment or demonic possession. This explanation, while it might have satisfied the terrified witnesses in 1518, offers little to the modern scientific mind. And then there are more fringe theories, from alien interference to an early form of performance art. Each theory seems to add another layer of intrigue to the mystery rather than solving it. Despite the plethora of theories, none can definitively explain the dancing plague of 1518. Each has its merits and its weaknesses. Each offers a piece of the puzzle, but none provides the full picture. What caused hundreds of people to dance uncontrollably and fatally for days on end in the streets of Strasbourg? Was it psychological, biological, supernatural? Despite our best efforts, the true cause of the dancing plague remains shrouded in mystery. It's a testament to the complexity of the human mind and the unpredictable nature of our world. And so, the dancing plague of 1518 continues to dance on in our collective memory, a fascinating and eerie reminder of a time when a city danced to the brink of madness. The dancing plague of 1518 left an indelible mark on history. It wasn't just a bizarre event that faded into the annals of time, gathering dust. No, it etched itself into the collective memory of mankind, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to resonate even today. In the realm of popular culture, the dancing plague has inspired a myriad of artistic expressions. From literature to visual arts, music, and even dance, creators have been captivated by this inexplicable event, weaving their interpretations into their work. It's been the muse for novels, the subject of songs, the inspiration for paintings, and the theme of many a theatrical performance. The dancing plague, in its own macabre way, has danced its way into the heart of our collective narrative. On a more academic front, the dancing plague holds an esteemed place in historical and scientific discourse. Historians delve into the event, trying to piece together the societal and cultural factors of the time that could have possibly led to such an occurrence. Psychologists and medical experts, on the other hand, view it as a pivotal case study in the realm of mass psychogenic illness, a phenomenon where physical symptoms with no known physical cause manifest in a group of people. The dancing plague is a testament to the power of the mind and the extent to which belief, fear, and stress can physically manifest in a group. It's a stark illustration of the fine line between mental and physical health, and how easily that line can blur under the right circumstances. This event, as grim as it was, has also served as a catalyst for important conversations about mental health. It's forced us to acknowledge the reality of psychological disorders and to take steps towards understanding and addressing them. In a way, the dancing plague has been instrumental in shaping the way we view and approach mental health today. It stands as a stark reminder of the enigmatic nature of human behavior and the mysteries that history often leaves behind. The dancing plague of 1518, a dance with death that continues to echo through the corridors of time, reminding us of the fragility and complexity of the human mind. From its bizarre onset to its gradual end, the dancing plague of 1518 remains an enigma. We've journeyed through the onset of this peculiar plague, where people began to dance uncontrollably, some until their untimely deaths. We've examined the peak of this phenomenon and the baffled authorities' responses. We saw how the dance finally ended, and yet the mystery persisted. We've explored various theories and explanations, from religious fervor and mass hysteria to ergot poisoning and even a curse. The legacy of the dancing plague continues to perplex us, a historical event that seems more like fiction than fact. Today, the dancing plague of 1518 serves as a reminder of the complexities of the human mind and the mysteries that remain within our shared past. It's a testament to the unpredictable nature of history and the enduring power of myths and legends. As we delve into the mysteries of the past, we are reminded that history, much like a dance, is a complex and unpredictable performance.